What's going on? It's your boy Sermon at Sermon's Domain on Twitter. Last night, like many people around the world, I was excited to listen to Migos Culture II. I started listening to it right when it came out, and it just became an exhausting listen. I was going to do a review on it, but the more that I wrote about it, the more I felt like I was just saying the same thing in different places. From the intro to the outro to my critical moment, I just felt like I was finding different ways to say, this is way too long. There's no reason why this album should be this long. It's just a bunch of songs and a lot of it is filler material. I felt like that was all that was being portrayed through my review. When it gets to that point, it becomes less fun. Because it's like, I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. And then, not even just in that particular review that I was trying to craft, but other reviews I felt the same way. Long albums are really not the way to go nowadays. But I understand why they happen. Streaming numbers are more popular than ever, and the fact that they count towards sales means a lot for these artists and these labels to be able to say, oh, I got number one and I had, 8 million, 10 million, 20 million streams on my album first week. Like, that is something that is, worth bragging about. But it feels like it creates a disservice to the fans. And so that's why I wanted to do this video instead of a review for Migos. I wanted to look at long albums as a whole and really ask the question, are they a disservice to the fans? Now keep in mind, this is only my opinion. You might love long albums, but for me, I feel like when it comes to long albums, there is just too much material there to really enjoy it. The last album that cracked 20 plus songs that I liked was Big Crit's Forever Is a Mighty Long Time. The reason for that is because it was a double album, and because Crit really put his heart and soul into this album. You had the Crit side, then you had the Justin Scott side. There was a concept attached to this double album. It wasn't a double album for the sake of streaming numbers. It was a double album for artistic purposes. Which brings me to my next point. When it comes to these long albums, whether it's from Migos or Drake or DJ Khaled or even Tech Nine, maybe not Tech Nine, because Tech Nine actually puts quality music. It's just a long listen. But the other three, the reason why their albums don't work that well, to me, is because they lack concepts and structure. Again, Big Crit had an album and the concept was there and it was long, but it was enjoyable. It was some of the best music that he's ever created. In the case of Drake, Drake put out More Life and it's 20 plus songs for the sake of charting. For the sake of saying, I got number one on Billboard, I broke a bunch of different records. That's really all it is. Label it however you want, an album, mixtape, playlist, however. But the fact remains that a lot of artists now, at least the big ones, are trying to find ways to exploit the Billboard charting system. And on one end, I can't be mad at it because it's just the way that this generation is gone. But it does kill a bit of artistic creativity. The biggest plus side of these long albums is that it brings in more money for the artist, for the label, as well as producers. That's one thing that a lot of people might not be thinking of. A producer by the name of Ducko McFly, who has produced for like 2 Chainz and a bunch of different other people over the years, and he's a good friend on Twitter. He was, highlighting that fact that like the more songs, the more producers get paid, the more money that comes in. And so I think he's looking at it from a producer standpoint, and I can appreciate that. But as a consumer, I don't want to sit here and have to sift through all this music to find what sounds good. Especially in the case of Migos. Migos, to me, are not album artists. They're more like, they're good in short doses. Like, listen to a song or two here and there, But my own personal opinion is I can't tolerate too much of their music at one sitting. I'm listening to the album, and by track 14, I'm thinking, I'm exhausted. I'm like, didn't I hear this song already? Or is this really necessary? It sounds so repetitive. This one just has a boring concept to it. It's like a lot of the music, sounds alike. And that is like one of the biggest problems. So I wanted to ask another question within this discussion. I wanted to ask, do my feelings change when it's an artist I love that drops an album that is, 20 songs or more? And I feel like on one end it kind of does, but I think it depends on the artist. I'm a huge fan of Lloyd Banks, but I don't really want like 20 plus Lloyd Banks songs, as good as they might be. I like the fact that I can pick up a Lloyd Banks project and they're like, 13, 14 songs at most. I mean, Kevin Gates is another artist that I really love. Don't need a long album from him. So I don't think my feelings change too much, but I do feel like I'll be more inclined to listen, mainly because a lot of the rappers that I love are ones who put the time and attention into their music. So like Big Crit, or like Kendrick Lamar. If Kendrick Lamar dropped a double album, I would definitely listen to it, and I feel like it would be great even. But for the most part, it's like we love these artists because they give us quality over quantity. And that's a huge issue that is going to continue to pop up over the next few years as streaming becomes even more prominent. Eventually, we're not even going to buy music. We're just going to stream it. It's just going to be all streaming numbers. And I really hope that in the long run, that doesn't compel a bunch of artists to say, well, we got to put this out and this out and this out. Less is more. And Migos are, someone who aren't really understanding that. They're not getting that right now. And I don't blame them. They're probably making a lot of money from the projects they put out. Offset and Quavo both had collaborative albums. I know Takeoff is working on one as well with Lil Yachty. Then you had the QC compilation album in, December, towards the end of the year. And that was 30 plus songs. So you see, like, in a short span, in, I would say, like 4 months, you got so many Migos songs. You have at least 60 plus right there. 60, 70, 80 almost total. And that right there is just too much oversaturation. That is oversaturation. So ultimately, I do feel like long albums do a disservice to fans. But on one end, I can understand if it's your favorite artists that are putting out long albums, because then people might like the music more. There's people that are bigger fans of Migos than I am, bigger fans of Drake in 2017, 2018 than I am, that will love an entire album from them, no matter what the length is. But for me, it becomes a chore as a reviewer and as a fan. A lot of the material that I like is short and to the point. It's quality music over quantity. So now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about this question? Do long albums do a disservice to the fans? Or as a fan, are you happy to get more music from the artist that you like/love? Talk to me in the comment section below, and then like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share the video. Follow me on Twitter @SermonsDomain, and as always, thank you for your time. I appreciate you for watching, and until next time, peace.